No, you can't keep a good dog down. Bow, wow, wow, wow. What's mine is yours. Welcome to doing whatever you wish. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 198. This is another Don Bluth episode. So excited for this one. I don't know if Vee and I are both going to cry, if Vee's going to cry, if I'm going to cry. This is going to be an intense one, but a great one as well, because both of these movies are not only trauma-filled, but just classics upon classics of our childhood, and hopefully your childhood as well. Vee, how are you today?
I'm not great, John.
I'm great, but also, a little somber, a little sad.
I think your intro is going to be the most uplifting part of the episode today.
Very, very true. That's why I wanted to start it off that way, to get us a little lighthearted until we completely break each other's hearts. And our audience's hearts with the history of not only both of these movies, but the history of a very talented young voice actress that was taken away far too early from us.
Yes, there are so many layers to our trauma and sadness this episode.
Yes, there are. And of course, I don't think I actually knew what happened to Judith Barcy until literally about 10 years ago. So if our audience doesn't know, you'll find out soon. But
sorry ahead of time.
Yeah, just a little bit of forewarning there. And if you do listen to the show, you know what episode this is going to be and what movies we're going to be discussing. But before we get into all of that, welcome back to Movies You Missed podcast. We are nearing our 200th episode here, and that's pretty impressive for both of us.
Yes, it's one of the most consistent things I've ever done in my life.
I would say myself included. Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, before we get into that, welcome to Movies You Missed podcast. If you have been with us from the beginning, welcome back. If you're brand new, welcome to Movies You Missed podcast. One beautiful thing we do here is we do not spoil the movies that we discuss, even if they are world-renowned. Maybe some of you haven't even seen these movies, so this might be an introduction for a lot of our audience that has not had a chance to see both of these movies from the great Don Bluth and Gary Goldman. Like I said before, we've discussed Don Bluth and Gary Goldman many times, most recently with my pick of Anastasia. So let's get into it very soon here. But first, we have been friends for over 30 years. We love to discuss movies that fell under the radar, movies that need to be revisited. These are definitely two movies that need to be revisited, especially if you are our age, over 40, short from a midlife crisis. And these movies are actually somewhat midlife crisis-ish.
Well, they're going to give you one, because you're going to think about how long ago they came out and that you were a kid when that happened.
Exactly. And here at Movies You Missed podcast, we really enjoy talking about the movies that we saw in theaters or on streaming over the last week. So let's get that going before we jump into these movies. V, I'm curious if you saw anything new over the last week.
Yes, I did. You're going to be so proud of me. I saw 5 new movies last week.
All right.
2 of them were in theaters and 3 of them were on streaming, and I actually ended up loving all of them, so I'm very happy to report that. So I can't really go from least like to most like, so I'll just go in order of which I saw them.
All right.
First one being Anaconda, which was so stupidly fun.
Oh yeah, big time stupid, big time fun.
And I think we can say that anyone who is a fan of the original Anaconda, being campy creature features, you'll enjoy Anaconda. Jack Black is great, so is Paul Rudd, and I had a really good time with it. I was very grateful. My friend and I were the only ones in the theater, so I could laugh as loud as I want at all of the stupidity. It was great. It was very entertaining.
It was very entertaining indeed.
And actually, you know what? I do have a favorite for last week, so I will save that one for last. So the next one I watched was on streaming. It's on Hulu. It's called Lilith Fair. It's a documentary.
Oh, yeah.
It is about the 3 years that Sarah McLachlan and a bunch of other female musicians put on a music festival. And it was just so wonderful to watch. It's very empowering, very inspiring. Highly recommend. And they played so many great songs from that era, from those musicians. I actually afterwards went on to Spotify and listened to the playlist for it. It was great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, one of my favorite documentaries of the year. It was very good.
Sweet. I heard about that documentary, and I absolutely remember Lilith Fair, so I will likely check that out before our 2025 roundup.
Yeah, you should, and it's really cool because I talked to my older sister Amber about it afterwards. She is the one who's the mom to my nieces, and one of my nieces was really into music, and so I recommended it for her, and my sister Amber said, "Oh, well, I went to Lilith Fair," and I was like,
Oh,
What?
nice.
Oh, I was so jealous. Yeah, it was amazing. I'm so glad I know someone who went, and she said it was
That's cool.
really incredible. She saw them at Shoreline, which is a really cool outdoor amphitheater like the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I was really stoked for her that she had gone, and so I said, well, now you really need to watch the documentary.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I've been meaning to watch this movie for a very long time because I had heard great things about it. It's called The Life of Chuck.
Oh, yeah.
It stars Tom Hiddleston and Mark Hamill and a bunch of other actors that you will recognize. And it was delightful. I had a really good time with it. I thought it was very cerebral, very dreamlike, and very uplifting, very colorful, which is really cool. And I'm really glad I watched it the same time I watched another movie this week, or at least in the same week, because they're both reflecting about the lives of ordinary men. The first one being The Life of Chuck, and it was very bright and shiny. And then the next one being Train Dreams, which I know you also saw this week, so we can talk about that too. And both of them are very different takes on a simple life. And I really liked watching the two different styles in which you could tell that story. And so The Life of Chuck is actually based on a Stephen King novel or a novella. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. It's very beautiful. Like I said, there's a bunch of other people in it too. So The Life of Chuck is great. And now we can talk about Train Dreams on Netflix, which you also watched.
I did watch Train Dreams.
There's this quiet beauty to it that I really enjoyed. And I was thinking about it a lot when I watched the movie, that I don't automatically go to watch movies like that. But every time I do get myself to watch them, I'm so happy that I did. And I thought the movie was so bittersweet and beautiful and well shot and well acted. And
sweet.
What about you? What did you think of Train Dreams?
I liked it more after I got to marinate in it a little bit. I will tell you completely straight up that I really didn't have any emotional connection to anybody in the movie whatsoever.
Same.
But the movie itself is very beautifully shot. The music is fantastic. And I like the ascent through time from the early 1900s up to like the early 60s. I liked that. Joel Edgerton was great. I just didn't feel that Felicity Jones was in it enough for me to care about her.
Yeah,
but other than that, I really did enjoy the movie.
I agree. It's not something where I'm going to go out and tell everybody about it or think it's one of the best movies of the year, but I thought it was really well made, and I'm glad that I watched it, if that makes sense, right?
I'm definitely glad I watched it. I was going to watch it anyway. It's a Best Picture nominee. I can see why it's a Best Picture nominee, definitely.
But I do think there are stronger contenders this year, too.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I think that given that it's such a quiet movie, that the emotional impact needed to be bigger in order for me to really get behind it.
I think so too. Yeah, when the big reveal happens, it was kind of like, huh. Yeah, either way, I didn't even really have any connection to William H. Macy's character.
Favorite part of the movie for me,
I guess I didn't really have a connection to... What's that?
Favorite part of the movie for me, though.
He was great, yeah. I guess I didn't really have an emotional connection to anybody, but I liked, like you said, the simplicity and the quietness of the movie. I wish I would have seen it in theaters. I'll bet you it was really great in theaters.
Yes, it is a quite beautiful movie, scenery-wise as well, so it would have been nice in theaters. So I'm glad we both watched it the same week, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, the last movie I want to talk about, which I think is really cool because I think your favorite movie of the week is also starring this woman.
Oh, that's right. Now I remember.
I watched The Housemaid starring Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah.
It's in the top 5 movies of the year for me. That film is incredible.
So damn good.
I hadn't read the book beforehand, so I actually went in pretty blind, and it's my favorite Sydney Sweeney performance because she was actually tolerable.
I told you.
And Amanda Seyfried was electric. I enjoyed every single moment on screen with her, and this movie is a great thriller. Highly, highly recommend. I would go back to the theaters to watch The Housemaid again.
Oh, absolutely. I really would. Over the last few weeks at the bar, I work under a movie theater, and a lot of times people are like, oh, yeah, we're just having one drink. We're going to a movie. So, of course, I'm like, oh, what are you seeing? And it's literally been either Marty Supreme or The Housemaid. And every time somebody says The Housemaid, I'm like, oh, so damn good. And like, you liked it? Like, they're looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. And I'm like, yeah, just because it's a movie starring predominantly women doesn't mean a man can't like it. The movie's awesome, you know? So I always tell people that I really enjoyed it, and I hope that they do too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've talked to a couple of my girlfriends over the last week, and several of them have said, "Oh, yeah, I've read the books." And I'm really happy to be able to recommend the movie to them now.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so those are all the movies I saw over the last week. John, what are the other movies besides Train Dreams that you saw?
All right. I saw 4 other new movies, so I did see 5, as did you
Nice.
this last week.
Cool.
Yes. One of which I do want to mention real quick because we don't really talk about these a lot, but I feel like we need to start talking about them more because re-releases are just as important as physical media. I was able to go see The Return of the King, the 4-hour and 15-minute cut back in theaters, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you did that.
Spectacular time. Me
Good,
too.
good.
Got in at 8:30. There's a 20-minute conversation with Peter Jackson before the movie started. I will tell you right now, he is not interesting to listen to, but at the same time, he's a great director and really knows what the hell he's doing because Return of the King is a masterpiece movie. I haven't watched it in almost like 8 years, and I just completely fell in love with it.
Yes, watching all 3 of them, the extended cuts back in theaters, I think I did that last year. And it was
Nice.
3 weeks in a row. So it was a Monday, 3 weeks in a row that I saw all
Hell yeah.
of the movies. And I really like doing it that way because you could get the whole story. And it was a lot of sitting in theaters, though. That was a lot of time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's like almost a literal full day
Yeah.
of sitting around in a movie theater.
No, but I'm
But
glad
fully
you did
worth
that.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so other than that, I saw 3 movies on streaming, actually 2 other ones other than Train Dreams, and 2 movies in theaters. I'll start with the one I liked least but did not hate. I definitely had a good time with it. This film stars Alan Tudyk, Rufus Sewell, and Shirley Henderson. This movie is called The Trouble with Jessica.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was either on Amazon, it might have been Amazon or Paramount Plus, I cannot remember the streaming service I watched it on, but I had it on my to-watch list over the last several months. It's a 2025 movie, so I finally pushed play on it, and it is a twisted-ass dark comedy. Very enjoyable, but certainly not going to be something that I recommend to a lot of people.
Okay.
The other movie I watched on streaming was a very, very lovely movie called The Ballad of Wallace Island.
Yes.
I remember seeing the trailer a couple of times last summer and thinking it kind of looked a little boring and dumb. And then, for whatever reason, I put it on my Amazon to watch, and just the other night I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm going to watch it. I loved it. I loved every single minute of it. It made me cry. It was a wonderfully lovely, lovely flick. Highly recommend The Ballad of Wallace Island.
And it stars Carey Mulligan.
Yes, Carey Mulligan is in it. She's in it maybe 15 minutes out of the hour and 40, but she's great. I've really come around to Carey Mulligan these days.
Awesome.
The other 2 films I watched were in theaters. I went and saw the new Gus Van Sant directed film starring Bill Skarsgård and Cary Elwes, which I did not know was Cary Elwes until about 20 minutes into the movie. This is a film called Dead Man's Wire.
Is that a 2026 film?
It is a 2026 film, yes.
Okay.
The last 2 new movies I saw are 2026ers. Yes, it's based on a true story about a kidnapping. A guy gets screwed around by either an investment company or a real estate company. I truly can't remember. Oh, Al Pacino's in it too.
Whoa.
And it was pretty good. After the credits rolled, they showed a lot of archival footage, and they really nailed just about everything from the archival footage in the actual movie. The cinematography is badass. The editing is incredible. Certainly worth checking out Dead Man's Wire if you can.
Okay, is it? And you said it's in theaters. All right.
It is currently in theaters, yeah.
Just
came out 2 weeks ago.
Gus Van Sant's released some cool movies, so.
Yeah, he really has. And when I was watching it, had a lot of reminiscent of Milk in editing style, and I was just like, man, I got to rewatch Milk again.
Yes.
Now the last movie that I saw was just last night. I saw the trailer one time, and the trailer made me very uncomfortable, but in a good way. Mm-hmm. And this is another Amanda, I think it's Seyfried or Seyfried. Apologies, Amanda, if we're getting your last name wrong.
Yes.
Either way, this movie is called The Testament of Ann Lee. Holy shit on a stick. This movie, wow. I was completely speechless. I couldn't even move at the end of this movie. I didn't know that this was based on a true story. I had no idea that Ann Lee was a real person, that what goes on in this movie actually went on as well. Now, granted, I've seen a lot of crazy church videos where people are dancing around and speaking in what they think are religious tongues and whatnot. This movie does that, but it's set in the 1700s, and it is just cinematography, soundtrack, Amanda Seyfried, direction, everything is absolutely top-notch. This is, I know we're only into the 28th day of January and of 2026. This is the best movie of 2026 as of right now. See this movie if you can, Testament of Ann Lee. It is disturbing, but it is also insanely fantastic. Regardless of your religious beliefs or not, I'm sure our audience knows I am not a believer, but this movie is one of those movies that is kind of like, whoa, wow. So yeah, Testament of Ann Lee, favorite movie so far of 2026. Amanda Seyfried, completely robbed of an Oscar nomination.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, and the same about the Oscar nom snub, and it's too bad that the distribution and the production company didn't fight or lobby for her more, because, yes, I've heard it's great. I'm so excited to see it in theaters as well. I usually want to start watching 2026 movies after our recap, which is why I haven't seen it yet, but I'm really looking forward to it.
I am going to be curious to see what you think.
Well, it seems like it's a lighter take, but still really twisted tale like The Witch. And so
in a way, yeah,
going
it had
in
witch vibes.
Yeah, that's what I felt when I watched the trailer. And so I'm going in with that kind of mindset of, okay, this is going to be messed up, this is going to be dark, and the time period. So I think I'm going to go in with the right pair of eyes, and I'm really excited to watch it.
I don't even want to tell you anymore. I want to so bad, but it's
good.
Just,
don't. No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers at all.
Awesome.
So that is what I saw, over the last week, streaming and in theaters.
We both had great weeks.
Yes, we did. It's now time to jump into our first movie of this week. Coming to us again from the great Don Bluth and Gary Goldman. Vee, so excited to talk about your movie because I had not seen it in at least 10 years, so this was quite the revisit. Vee, why don't you let our audience know what you picked from the Don Bluth arsenal?
I would be happy to. I haven't seen this movie in a minimum of 20 years, maybe almost 30.
Whoa!
It's been a while, and I was so happy to revisit it. And I picked it with confidence because no matter what, no matter how long it had been, I knew it was worth revisiting because it's such an incredible film, nostalgia-filled, trauma-filled, memory-filled. It has all the things, and it's just worth talking about and celebrating with you. So I picked a movie from 1988, which means you and I are going to go in chronological order this week, which is really nice given that they're both Don Bluth movies and both star and share a voice actor. So glad that happened this week. I picked the 1988 children's trauma-filled classic, The Land Before Time.
Yeah.
Which, I'll say right now, it's not as sad as I remember it.
No, totally. I agree.
But I think because we were so young and the mom dies, it was traumatic for us.
Absolutely, yes.
And so I'm going to dive into the plot of this film filled with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
There's a reason why John likes it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Lucas Spielberg production.
Yeah.
George Lucas and Steven Spielberg produced this movie, along with Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall, two regulars who joined those titans of filmmaking, producing and making movies, which is great. So right off the bat, there's some quality and prestige behind this film. However, that also comes with its own problems, which I'll get into in a little bit. So let's dive into The Land Before Time. We go back to... Well, there isn't a specific time period because a lot of these dinosaurs did not exist with each other.
That's true.
So we are introduced to this wild world full of dinosaurs. Some of them eat plants and they have flat teeth. Others eat meat and they are called sharp tooths. Tyrannosaurus Rex being one of them. And as we go through the introduction to this world, narrated by Pat Hingle.
Yeah.
Who was Commissioner Gordon for all of the Batman movies in the 90s.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
guy.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was also in a couple of westerns, including Hang 'Em High. He was a good actor.
Nice.
Great voice. Perfect for a narrator.
Absolutely.
And he's letting the audience know that not only are all of these animals just fighting to survive and bring on the next generation, but also the world is changing. The movie is showing us a lot of desolate places and that all these dinosaurs need to migrate in order to survive. And this is where we are introduced to Littlefoot. If I had tattoos, I'd get one of baby Littlefoot. He's so darn cute.
Yeah, when he's born, I always love that whole thing.
Oh, so adorable. And then we're also introduced to Ceratops,
That actually kind of does work.
It really does. And next we are introduced to Sarah, who is a Triceratops, who is a bit of a bruiser. She
big time.
came out with a big chip on her shoulder.
Yeah, she did.
And Littlefoot tries to become friends with her, but she's having none of it, so they separate because three horns are not friends with long necks.
No, they're not.
No, and so Littlefoot stays with his mother and his grandparents as they start to migrate, and his mother is telling him how this is going to be a very long trip filled with peril, and they're going to have to work together to survive to make it to the Great Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as this family of longnecks is making their way to the Great Valley, unfortunately they encounter a sharp-tooth. This is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it attacks Littlefoot because he's wandered off from his family. His mother, as mothers do, jumps in to protect him and save him, which she does, costing her life.
Mm-hmm.
And as this is happening, or right after, a massive earthquake hits, separating not only Littlefoot from his grandparents, but Sarah from her parents as well. And so now Littlefoot is alone because, again, Sarah wants nothing to do with him. And she's going to make it on her own. And so Littlefoot lays with his mother for a little while, which broke my heart as a child. It was so... I think I might have watched this movie before Bambi, or because they were already speaking, it was more impactful.
Sure.
Or maybe because it was shown on screen. I don't know, but there is a reason why The Land Before Time was more traumatic than Bambi.
Definitely.
Maybe because we were introduced to his mother and she talked to us, so she was a real, actual character for us.
I think that certainly is one of the reasons.
So now Littlefoot is on his own, and he has to try to remember the instructions that his mother gave him to make it to the Great Valley. At first, he is so despondent, he can do nothing but walk in circles until he actually runs into a much older dinosaur who explains to him that this is the circle of life, that it happens, and that he needs to survive for his mother. So he does. He gets a little bit more motivation, and he is able to pick himself up and keep going. And this is when he starts to run into some new friends. First is Ducky.
Yep.
She's so darn cute.
Ducky still is absolutely one of my favorite characters.
Oh, totally agree. She is bright and shiny and has a wonderful, bubbly little personality.
My name's Littlefoot. Mine is Ducky. Yep, that is what it is. Yep.
And so she is really helpful with keeping Littlefoot's spirits alive and having them continue on. And she has gotten separated as well. So it's a really good opportunity for them to keep each other safe and join together. As they continue to move along, Sarah kind of joins the pack, or at least keeps running into them a little bit, as well as monosyllabic dinosaur named Spike.
Yeah, Spike!
Who's great too. I loved watching this movie so much. Whenever you revisit a movie after a very, very long time, and it just starts all coming back to you as you see it.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh, it's so fun because when Ducky sees that egg and he starts cracking, oh, that's right. And then Spike gets born. I'm like, oh, right, it's Spike. I totally forgot about this guy. And oh, so cute.
Spike always made me want to eat grass. He just made it look so freaking delicious.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially when he gets born and he's eating his whole nest. I love that whole sequence.
I can relate to Spike.
He's a bit of a chow downer. Like, all he wants to do is eat, and everything he eats just looks so delicious.
Yeah, and I respect that.
Yeah.
Lastly, we meet Petrie, who is a little pterodactyl-like creature who has wings and who is afraid of heights. And is the most anxious of the entire group.
Oh, yeah.
And so now this motley crew, finally joined permanently by Sarah, is working towards the Great Valley so they can meet up with all of their same species and hopefully extended family members, as well as food, because this place is desolate. It is dry. It is completely void of any sort of vegetation. So for a lot of the movie, these kids are hungry. The other problem is the Sharptooth is still alive. And they encounter it several times. So through this journey on foot, which kind of reminded me of The Lord of the Rings because they go through a valley of fire.
Yeah, totally.
These kids face a lot of adventure, a lot of peril, and you really are just rooting for the little guys.
All the time.
And so for the rest of the movie, we are following along with Littlefoot, Sarah, Ducky, Petrie, and Spike. And I love how there is a mix of them, so each kid who watched this film could pick their favorite, the one that they relate to most. So cute. And the story holds up. The heartbreak certainly does. I cried.
Absolutely.
The animation is still gorgeous. The score is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It was so lovely to revisit this film this week. I definitely want my nieces to watch it, especially now that I think they're old enough that they won't be too traumatized.
Certainly.
And it was just a delightful revisit, even though it was sad. It just brings such a flood of emotions when you watch a movie from your childhood like this. It's such a wonderful experience. So I'm so glad we did it this week, and I hope you had just as much fun as I did watching The Land Before Time.
Oh, I certainly did. Like I mentioned earlier, I think it's been about 10 years since I've sat down and really watched it from the beginning all the way to the end. And I used to watch this movie when I was 5 years old up until I was probably 13. So I spent a very long time watching this movie growing up. And when I watched it this time, I just kind of got super comfortable and excited, especially during the opening credits. The underwater dinosaurs, all of that was great. And then Littlefoot gets born, and he hangs out with his grandparents and his mom, and then the earth shake happens, and then he meets Ducky, who I would quote Ducky up until now. I actually used a yep, yep, yep gif to a friend of mine just the other day, and it's her on top of Spike's egg going, yep, 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 and always loved Ducky, and Petrie was great, like, oh, Petrie, I can't fly. I loved him.
Wow,
he was
that is
great.
a really good impression, by the way.
Thank you. And Spike was great, too, because just like myself and V, you included, we are big eaters. So we just really like to eat. And I never did eat grass as a kid, even though this movie and a couple of other Looney Tunes episodes made me want to eat grass because it just looked like it was so delicious. And I had that one, I think I might still have it. I haven't rolled around in grass in about 20 years. But grass would always itch me. And I know that was like one of those things like, oh, well, you're allergic to grass. I knew everybody that I knew that would roll around in grass was always itchy after rolling around in grass. But either way, The Land Before Time was such a staple of my childhood. I had it on VHS. I still have it on VHS. The soundtrack was great. The animation is so awesome. And there are certain moments where Sharptooth is like scraping at his nose. And I always loved that animation too, to just like show the fact that Sharptooth is the bad guy in this movie, but he's also still an animal trying to survive. So you can't really knock him too much for trying to eat the lower of the food chain dinosaurs, if you will. And Don Bluth and company just completely did a wonderful job with this story. And the Great Valley was something that I would always say to myself whenever my parents and I would drive to Las Vegas. We would drive through Barstow, and I always remember seeing a little spot where it was really green, like a lake, and I'd be like, the Great Valley. Like, oh my gosh, the Great Valley exists. And oddly enough, now in Greenland 2 Migration, they are going to essentially the Great Valley. They're trying to find the more
alert.
vegetated... Yeah, I guess that is. They're trying to find the more vegetated state of the world where they can live and drink clean water and all that kind of stuff.
Such a classic trope in movies too, right? Of
yeah.
Like I Am Legend, when he meets with that woman and the kid, and she's like, oh,
Totally.
well, there's a place that doesn't have any infected. And how many times have we heard that in different movies, right? Like,
Exactly.
Zombieland, perfect example, right?
Right, yeah. 28 days later, there's
Pacific
a whole thing.
Playland doesn't have any zombies in it.
Right. And I always remember as a kid thinking that Sarah was just such a bitch.
She's such a little shit.
She was so awful to everybody, and I always hated, and I still, even watching it this time, was like, damn, Sarah, just chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, she was beaten on Littlefoot, and of course Littlefoot is crying, and she's like, I'm Sarah, I'm going to go on my own. And there's a moment of schadenfreude, which V just introduced me to that word. I'm sure I've heard it in the past, but I don't recall. But there's a moment where Sarah's trying to be the badass, and then she falls into the cavern with Sharptooth. And as a kid, I was like, yeah, see, that's what you get for being so mean. And, and I even kind of felt that way this time around. I'm like, yeah, fucking Sarah, you little shit. Like, come on. Like, everybody's going to the same place you are, and you're separated from your mom and dad as three horns. And what's funny is I also did like Sarah because when I was growing up, there was a song that I would sing in elementary school called Triceratops with three long horns. And it went like, Triceratops with three long horns, a beak like a parrot, and fur where its neck is. And I sang that song all throughout my childhood, especially after seeing Jurassic Park. And when they come across the Triceratops in Jurassic Park, I was like, oh my God, there's Sarah's mom or there's Sarah's dad. Because Jurassic Park came out about 7 years after The Land Before Time. Land Before Time, 5 years. Okay, thank you. Just a massive nostalgia moment. I think it's an hour and 7 minutes. Like, it's not even a full-length feature, because if the whole criteria is a feature length has to be 70 minutes at least. So this was just a great short revisit. The soundtrack, like you said, is fantastic. The animation's wonderful. The expressions that they get, especially on Ducky, when she comes across the sharp tooth and she's behind that rock, like it's wonderful. And that video you sent me of the same scene where your cat is like pawing at the screen was magnificent. So not only do people like this movie, but kitties like this movie too.
They do. We'll post that on our socials.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely will. So yeah, big fan of The Land Before Time, and will certainly be in my Rolodex of movies to show my young nieces who are 6 and 4, and I very much look forward to introducing them to movies that they've never heard of, especially since we'll be a lot closer to them in the next couple of months.
That's true, and I really hope one day they release a remastered 4K of this movie.
Oh, that would be incredible.
That would be amazing.
Yes, it would.
I think the most memorable scene for me, or let me rephrase, the scene I remember most from watching it in my childhood was after Littlefoot is completely on his own trying to make it to the Great Valley. And he sees his mother because his shadow is being projected onto the side of a rock face. And I've always remembered that scene, and it's just so heartbreaking. And then the score comes up that really gets you, and that's the part I remembered most when I was looking to revisit this film. And now I've got a lot of positive memories from it too, because there's so many wonderful uplifting scenes in the movie as well. But yeah, you're right. It is very short. So the nice thing is that you don't need to take much time out of your day in order to revisit this film.
Not at all.
So beyond Pat Hingle, a couple other voice actors in this movie, Gabriel Damon voices Littlefoot. He actually plays Mel Gibson's son in the movie Tequila Sunrise.
Oh, cool.
And he also appears in Newsies with Christian Bale. So he had a couple other credits after this.
Yeah.
Judith Barzee voices Ducky, which we will talk about her a little more in depth after you discuss your movie.
Yes.
Will Ryan voices Petrie, who you do a great impression of. He also lends his voice to a character in An American Tail. He voices the seahorse in Little Mermaid.
Oh, no way.
Next year, yeah.
Sebastian. That one?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a voice in Rock-a-Doodle.
Oh, yeah, Chanticleer.
Which
that one is coming up in the future, everybody.
Yes, I have never seen it. I'm actually looking forward to it now because it is a Don Bluth movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it a chance.
Oh, Rock-a-Doodle is wonderful.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. And the story for this movie was actually written by a writing team who were not married.
Oh.
Judy Freudberg and Tony Geiss. Not only did they also write An American Tail, they were writers on Sesame Street since the beginning.
Whoa.
For decades.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the kind of people who wrote a story for The Land Before Time. So
very cool.
Gives you an idea of how great it is. James Horner did the score.
Hell yeah, he did.
And we are big fans of him on our show. You all have heard us mention him several times before because he has scored our previous picks of Star Trek The Wrath of Khan, Aliens, Willow, Field of Dreams, The Rocketeer, Clear and Present Danger, The Pelican Brief, Braveheart, Titanic,
God
Jim
almighty.
Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and also Avatar, An American Tail 1 and 2, Glory, Legends of the Fall, Casper, Apollo 13, and Jumanji.
Good Lord. What a resume.
And I left out some movies that you would all recognize. I just figured that would be too many if I kept going.
Oh, yeah. He's got a resume that stretches miles and miles.
Still so heartbroken about his untimely death. He, I'm sure, had so much left in him to give us, and so grateful for the amazing scores that he did in his life. Okay, so this movie was produced by George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. The conversations around it started during the production of American Tail, which Steven Spielberg also produced. He wanted to do a film similar to Bambi, but with dinosaurs.
Perfect.
And so many people nicknamed this movie Bambi with dinosaurs.
I would argue that it's better than Bambi.
I would argue the same, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of vehemently.
I would as well. Bambi is a good movie, but Land Before Time, the characters are far more memorable. I think more people quote Land Before Time over like Thumper or Flower or anything like that from Bambi.
They're certainly a lot more fleshed out. I think the characters are a lot more entertaining as well. I would argue, just because I am a fan of the traditional classic Disney animation, the animation is much more gorgeous. However, that's
Sure.
probably has to do with the fact that they are in a very lush forest in Bambi.
Right.
And the world is basically ending in the Land Before Time.
Yep.
So it makes sense why the scenery is a little bit more gorgeous.
I agree.
But for this film, you definitely can't take away from the quality of the animation. Yes,
Not at
it's
all.
dry. Yes, it's desolate. However, it doesn't mean it's not beautiful.
Of course.
Over 600 background paintings were made for this film.
Wow.
I would love to get one or a copy of one.
That would be pretty sweet. Yeah, to get just a cell from this movie.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first Don Bluth film, and only one of the 80s, to not feature a character voiced by Dom DeLuise.
Wow. That's true, actually.
Mm-hmm. Which we'll talk about him in just a minute in your film.
Yeah, we will.
And after working with her on this movie, Judith Barcy was Steven Spielberg's first choice to play Lex in Jurassic Park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would have been something else.
She seemed like voice acting is hard. She was so good at it. So
Yeah,
I think she could have done really well.
I think so. And nothing against Ariana Richards.
No,
she was
not
a
at all.
great Lex. But yeah, Judith Barcy would have been great. That would have been awesome.
Mm-hmm. And the film has a theme song called If We Hold On Together. It was sung by Diana Ross, of all people,
Hey.
and became a massive hit in Japan.
Well, all right. Very cool.
It actually became a karaoke standard. It was so popular.
Interesting.
Which is awesome. I love random trivia like that so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so George Lucas and Steven Spielberg producing this film together means it's the only film outside of Indiana Jones to be co-produced by those men.
Wow.
That's how special The Land Before Time is.
Yeah. There we go. That's cool.
Yes. However, throughout production, the film underwent severe editing by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. They thought that some of
Really?
the scenes in the movie would appear too dark and intense for young children.
Huh.
And Steven told Don Bluth, well, it's too scary. We'll have kids crying in the lobby and many angry parents. You don't want that. And so 19 scenes
Whoa.
comprising 10 minutes of footage were cut.
Wow.
Most of it involving our characters in peril or involving the Tyrannosaurus Rex, which I think the movie needed. It could have been longer. I would have been happy with it.
Yeah.
So,
Where's the Don Bluth cut?
Don Bluth was really unhappy with cuts and fought to keep the footage, but he felt like he had to. It was Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
Right.
But he claims to have a personal copy of the full cut of the film.
Ooh.
So you're right. Release the Don Bluth cut.
Release the Bluth cut. Yes.
Amazing.
Oh, I'm in. Yeah, let's do it.
And so
let's try and
even-
get that going.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a trending social media topic we could get behind. But I will say, in his book, The Art of Animation, which have you read?
I have not read that book, no,
Okay.
but it is on my to-read list for sure.
We need to read that book together.
Yeah, we do.
Don Bluth admitted that the film's massive financial success can partially be attributed to those edits. But this was his first experience with a big studio project and getting pressure from the studio. So it was certainly a learning curve for him and a bit frustrating.
Absolutely.
But he was right. It certainly did well because it only had a $12.5 million budget,
Wow.
which is, I guess, kind of a lot. But 600 pieces of background, there's a lot of animation going on.
Yeah,
Kinda makes
there
sense.
is.
So on a $12.5 million budget, it made $48 million in the U.S.,
Awesome.
and $85 million worldwide.
Well, that makes sense why there's like 9 sequels.
There are 13 sequels.
Holy shit. Wow. I think I've only seen 1 through 3. I don't think I ever went 4 beyond after that one.
I may have seen the sequel when I was a kid, but I have absolutely no memory of it.
Yeah, I think the second one was called like Land Before Time, Journey to the something, or I can't, you know
Or
what
Beyond
I mean?
the Great Valley or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
So
13 sequels. Holy
as
shit.
well as 8 games, 2 sing-along videos, and a TV series.
Wow.
Talk about milking it.
Hell yeah.
So that is The Land Before Time. Please let us know if A, you've seen this movie before, B, you're going to be revisiting it, or C, how many of the sequels you've seen.
I am so curious to see how many people have gone to 1 through 13. That's pretty amazing.
I can just imagine you and I trying to binge the whole entire series and just getting more and more defeated and beaten down and losing more and more of our will to live because they're just getting worse and worse as they go.
We'd have to start at like 6 a.m. and be done by like midnight. I can only imagine the other ones go a little bit beyond an hour and 15 minutes.
I mean, I really hope they're all 69 minutes. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And that's the thing. Bambi was also 69 minutes.
Was it really? Wow. Nice.
That's right. So that is The Land Before Time. Unfortunately, you cannot stream it anywhere, but it is available for rent. Or you could do what John and I have done and go to your parents and ask them if they still have a VHS copy of it.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, that is Land Before Time, released in 1988, directed by Don Bluth and his animation studios. Highly recommend revisiting this film. It was tons of fun. And like I said, not as traumatic as I remembered, which is really wonderful. And I was very grateful for because yours was just as awful as I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. Are you ready to dive into yours?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's jump into my Don Bluth pick of this week. This film comes to us from 1989. The story for this movie actually has a lot of people involved, so I just want to give them all the credit that they deserve. The story is written by David N. Weiss, Don Bluth, Ken Cromar, Gary Goldman, Larry Lecker, Linda Miller, Monica Parker, John Pomeroy, Guy Schulman, and David S. Steinberg. The film was directed by Don Bluth, Gary Goldman, and Dan Kunstner. I believe all three of them were also the directors on Anastasia.
Oh, nice.
So for those of you that have not seen All Dogs Go to Heaven, you are in for a treat, just like you were with The Land Before Time. All Dogs Go to Heaven is set in 1939, and this film opens up with Itchy, played by Dom DeLuise, a dachshund, busting his good buddy Charlie out of death row. And death row, we all know, is a very horrible place for any dog to be in. So this movie opens up with that, and Itchy is very successful in rescuing Charlie from death row. We also find out that Charlie was set up by his business partner, Carface, played by Vic Tayback. Carface and Charlie were business partners, and in 1939, in the dog world anyway, they were running a bit of a casino. And so Charlie comes back and also is unaware of the fact that Carface set him up for failure and to be arrested to be sent to death row. So what does Charlie do? He comes back and tries to make nice with Carface and get their business back up and running. Carface is not about this because Carface, similar to every other gangster in the world, Carface wants full control of the casino that he and Charlie were now running. So to celebrate Charlie being bussed out of death row, Carface and his goons get Charlie absolutely shit-faced drunk. And then Carface sets him up to be killed on the pier in New Orleans. And good Lord, is that a brutal sequence.
I mean, you could say that for many sequences in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. So very unfortunately, Carface succeeds in killing Charlie, and Charlie goes to heaven. Just like this title says, all dogs go to heaven. Charlie is very distraught of the fact that he is now dead and in heaven. He meets Flo, this very beautiful pink dog that's kind of showing him around the ropes of heaven. And while they're floating through heaven, there are clocks everywhere. And Charlie was also given a pocket watch by Carface. And his watch has now stopped now that he is in heaven. But what Charlie thinks he can do is rewind his clock to get back to Earth, to stick it to Carface and take over the gambling scene in New Orleans in 1939. So Flo is very unaccepting of the fact that Charlie wants to go back, but yet Charlie succeeds in rewinding his clock and shows back up on Earth exactly where he was killed. He's coming out of the ocean, he's now back up on the pier and trying to find his good buddy Itchy. Now, I haven't said who voices these two dogs yet. Dom DeLuise comes back as Itchy, and Burt Reynolds voices Charlie.
Yeah.
And what a great team these two were. Apparently, these guys had done several movies together, which I actually had no idea of. And Dom DeLuise and Burt Reynolds had told Don Bluth during the recording process that they did not want Don Bluth around in the sound booth, so they kicked him out so that they could improvise 95% of their lines in this movie.
Fabulous.
Yes, and it works. They kept it G-rated. It wasn't anything other than you would expect from a G-rated movie, but at the same time, there's a good amount of dialogue, even watching it now, where I'm like, my gosh, I didn't understand half of what was going on in this movie. All I knew and really remember was that Charlie died, he came back, and then met Anne-Marie, and we'll get into Anne-Marie in just a second. So after Charlie comes back, he confronts Carface about this whole thing. Also, Itchy tells Charlie that Carface has this monster that he's been keeping captive. And we end up finding out that this monster is actually this 6-year-old girl named Anne-Marie. And Anne-Marie is voiced by Judy Barcy, who voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time.
Mm-hmm.
And what was really cool while reading the behind the scenes and watching a little bit of behind the scenes on this movie was that Anne-Marie was actually modeled after Snow White.
Thank you. God, she seemed so familiar to me.
Right?
And the whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking, well, I watched this as a kid. But that look, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And given her talent, it makes sense that she would be modeled after Snow White.
So when Charlie hears about this news about this monster that Carface has, they go and start to kind of eavesdrop on Carface in his office, and we find out that Anne-Marie, this 6-year-old girl, has been the one being held captive by Carface. And Carface uses her to talk to animals, and he's about to run this rat race and uses Anne-Marie to talk to this rat about who the rat thinks is going to win. So Charlie gets the brilliant idea that after this, he can dog nap her, if you will, since they're dogs. And use this girl to put down some gambling bets. So Charlie and Itchy end up dog napping Anne-Marie, also sweet-talking her into the idea that if she helps them figure out who's going to win certain horse races and rat races and even dog races.
And turtle races.
And turtle races, that's right, the turtle race. That they will help her find a mother and father since she is classified as an orphan, and that's why Carface has been keeping her as long as he has. So Charlie and Itchy take her to the horse track and figure out a way to get into the horse stalls and have Anne-Marie talk to these horses that are going to be competing in this horse race. And every horse is just like, well, it's the Grand Chahee's birthday. Of course he's going to win. We're going to let him win. It's his freaking birthday. Why wouldn't the Grand Chahee win? And the Grand Chahee is this dumpy, doofusy horse that I absolutely love. And I always remember, even as a kid, just being like, the Grand Chahee is going to win the horse race.
It reminds me of Gunpowder from Sleepy Hollow.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So they put a bunch of money down on this horse race. Of course, they disguise themselves and Anne-Marie as an adult male. And Anne-Marie's like, $100 on Grand Chahee to win. And put this money down. And during the horse race, every horse is way ahead of the Grand Chahee because he's just so mindless of the fact that he's a horse racer. And this really kind of Botoxed out horse like runs up to one of the other ones and goes,
lip filler, okay?
She had a little lip filler, indeed. It's like, hey, why are you running so fast? He goes, oh, it's a beautiful day. She goes, well, didn't you know it's the Grand Chahee's birthday? So, of course, they all slow down. The Grand Chahee wins, and Charlie, Itchy, and Anne-Marie have now won a whole boatload of money and have started to construct Charlie's place, which is, oddly enough, very similar to right outside the gas works and Stan Wakita's Donuts with the stacked cars in Wayne's World. And this movie is a couple years before Wayne's World, but when I was watching it this time, I'm like, did Mike Myers have an affinity for All Dogs Go to Heaven? And trying to figure out how to really construct one of these spots in Aurora, Illinois. Carface has also found out that Anne-Marie has been dog-napped by Charlie and Itchy. He's trying to get Anne-Marie back and also kill Charlie again. And, of course, Carface has one of those stupid sidekicks, and I love his sidekick. His sidekick was played by Charles Riley, and this dog is similar to the Grand Chaw. He's a little bit dumpy. I don't even know what kind of dog this is.
I don't know either. He's some sort of, like, terrier boxer mix.
Yeah, like with a little bit of poodle or something going on.
Yeah.
And Carface is like, hey, so we gotta give Charlie the big surprise. And he's like, surprise? What surprise, boss? And he's like, the big surprise. And like does the whole like throat cutting thing.
Isn't his name something like Killer or something that totally doesn't
I think
match
so.
him?
Yeah. What? Yeah. And his associate's name was Killer, which this dog is not a killer in any way, shape, or form.
It's like when people name their humongous mastiffs Tiny or something.
Right,
It's
right,
like,
yeah.
I love the opposite.
I
So
totally love that. Yeah, and it's like in Friday when Tiny is like obviously this big behemoth of a man. So Carface is now out to try and get Charlie back for taking Anne-Marie from him so that Carface can win these gambling bets. And while we're at the horse race, Anne-Marie stumbles upon a couple, very lovely couple, that start to kind of not even really interrogate, but they're like, who are you here with? You know, where are your parents? Where's your family? And she's just like, I don't have a family. And in the midst of all this is where Charlie actually steals the guy's wallet to put down money for this horse race. So Anne-Marie, unbeknownst to her, is helping Charlie steal money to win these gambling bets. And like I mentioned before, Charlie has rewound his clock, and what he has come to find out is that he has to keep winding his clock so that he can still stay on Earth, and his heart won't stop, and he won't go back to heaven.
No. You can never come back, Charlie.
Yeah, exactly. That used to freak me out as a kid, especially when you see it in the watch and it's like pulsing, it's like, you can never come back. And of course, there's a moment where Charlie and Anne-Marie and Itchy are all sleeping after a successful day, and the watch keeps ticking, and we keep hearing Flo in the background saying, you can never come back. And Charlie has a fucked up nightmare when he ends up going to hell and being chewed on by a whole bunch of little demons. And he's on this boat in this fiery pit of hell. And apparently, from everybody that I've talked to, that scene has been cut out of all streaming services.
Nope, it was on Peacock.
Okay, so it was on Peacock. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad that they didn't cut it out.
Yeah, me too. I was so grateful when they didn't cut it out. But then I watched it, I was like, well, I understand why they did.
Yeah. And one of the demons looks like one of the demon sequences in Anastasia.
It really does, yes. And it looks a little bit like a Balrog from Lord of the Rings or the demon in Thor Ragnarok. Very cool design. I've always been a fan of that design. Those little tiny demons, though, that are really cute, even though they're horrible.
Especially when they're making the faces at them.
Yes. They kind of remind me of those little sprites in Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, totally.
Or
Absolutely.
Or those little black soot balls with eyes from Spirited Away.
Yeah. Definitely the dust mites.
Yeah,
yes.
Those are so cute.
Yeah, they are pretty cool.
The little spirits and sprites in those movies are always so adorable.
They are, and they're not supposed to be, but they are
no,
at the same
they're
time.
not supposed to be.
So after Charlie has this terrible nightmare, Anne-Marie finds out that he stole this wallet from this very nice couple that she was hoping to maybe be adopted from. And for the rest of the movie, we're treated to magnificent dog animation and wonderful music and insane backgrounds, and just a really twisted story about alcoholism, gambling, and trying to find a young orphan girl a family. And Charlie is kind of a POS, but he starts to come around to Anne-Marie. One of my favorite scenes is when Charlie is reading Robin Hood to her, but it's War and Peace, and he's got it upside down, and she's like asking him all these questions, and then he starts calling her Squeaker because she won't be quiet, and she's trying to get comfortable. And we also find out that Charlie does have a bit of a soft side, not just for Anne-Marie, but at one point he brings a whole pizza to this other dog mother that's got like 13 puppies that he feeds, where one of my favorite songs of the late 80s, What's Mine Is Yours, comes into play. And I've been watching this movie since 1989. I never did see it in theaters, but I've always had a VHS copy of it. My wife found a VHS copy of it for me for Christmas about 8 years ago, and along with Secret of NIMH. So that Christmas was Secret of NIMH and All Dogs Go to Heaven. So I had a bit of a Don Bluth Christmas, which was incredible.
Did you take some Prozac after that? Jesus.
No, I just watched them a lot, and Amy was like, what are these movies? I don't think Amy had ever seen Secret of NIMH, but I know she had seen...
I believe it. Given her childhood,
All Dogs Go to Heaven.
There's no way she'd be allowed to watch either of those films.
No. And it's funny, like when we were talking about Secret of NIMH, and even this, like, how were my parents like, oh yeah, let's watch All Dogs Go to Heaven. Dog goes to hell. The dog's an alcoholic. The dog's a gambling fiend. And like, it's really a more adult-themed movie than I think a lot of people would give it credit for. And even it is rated G. But the reason it got its G rating was because Don Bluth trimmed down the hell scene by about 10 seconds. And similar to your pick this week, he has his uncut version of All Dogs Go to Heaven. So maybe before he ends up passing, we'll get the Don Bluth cut of Land Before Time and All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Double feature.
I would love that. But All Dogs Go to Heaven was a massive staple in my house, and it still is in my house because I've watched this movie since Amy got it on VHS for me at least 10 times, and I just love it. The music's great, the story's awesome, and it is really funny also at the same time. Dom DeLuise's Itchy is just magnificent, similar to the crow in Secret of Nim and the cat in American Tail. Dom DeLuise was an absolute treasure, and Burt Reynolds just knocked it out of the park as Charlie. Like, he just really, really, really well done. So, V, I'm curious when you last watched All Dogs Go to Heaven and what your experience was this time around.
Oh gosh, I think similar time period to The Land Before Time.
Oh, wow.
It'd been a very many years. And I remember watching All Dogs Go to Heaven at my sister Suzanne's house back when I was a kid. She's a bit older than me, and so I watched it when I did sleepovers at her house, which I absolutely loved doing. Still to this day, actually. And
there you go.
This movie is, yeah, you're right, major adult themes. And when you were talking about the messages of the movie, I was like, yeah, never trust a bulldog. That's the message. Yeah. But in reality, there are some wonderful character arcs and really good morals of the story, I think. And similar to The Land Before Time, as scenes started unfolding, I would go, oh yeah! And different characters would pop up, and What's Mine Is Yours unlocked a core memory for me. And I was this helped me learn how to share. It was such a great little song, so cute and so well done and so important for young kids. So I'm so happy they had it in it. And from the beginning, I took so many notes on this movie it's because it's just so wonderful. It's well done. It is intense, and it is very dark in terms of a lot of its themes. And like you said, there are some adult themes, but still absolutely worth it for your kids to watch it and also to revisit it, especially because now as an adult, you'll understand so much more of it.
Absolutely.
Like we say in a lot of the animated movies we do revisit, and Carface being pulled directly from Scarface was pretty awesome. Yeah. And I loved the scenes where he went to heaven in the beginning of the movie and Flo saying, dogs are naturally good and loyal and kind, which is why they all go to heaven. I was like, that is so sweet. And she said, unlike people. And I'm like, yep.
Yep, unlike people.
And I love it. It's just these little throwaway one-liners that as an adult you catch and just absolutely adore. So when she's talking to him about heaven and saying, we're still on Fahrenheit here, I was like, that is awesome.
Well, that whole thing in this movie reminded me of that line in Soul, where Jerry tells Joe, they don't crush souls here. That's what life on Earth is for.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man. And that was such a poignant scene in Soul. And then when I watched this one, I'm like, holy crap. Like, humans suck.
Yeah. And that's why we have this podcast to talk about movies, so we can escape reality.
Exactly.
So I did love Burt Reynolds as Charlie. He has a wonderful voice for voice acting, that nice, low, kind of gravelly.
Oh, yeah.
A bit soothing. There were one or two songs where I was like, but the sharing song he was amazing at. But the middle song I felt was the weakest song of his, I think just because of the key it was in probably. But otherwise, he did a fantastic job. And him and Dom DeLuise together were so good. You're right. They had great chemistry. I'm so glad to hear that they improvised everything. That was awesome. Like when they're running away from Carface at one point and Charlie is like, oh yeah, he's got something up his sleeve. And then she's like, yeah, a gun.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I cannot believe I'd completely forgotten the alligator.
I totally forgot the alligator. And I literally watched this movie 6 months ago. And Amy, I was watching it, and Amy came downstairs. She goes, is this the one with the alligator? I'm like, what? And then the alligator shows up, and I was like, oh, wow, I completely forgot about the alligator.
But you know what's crazy is that this is the second animated movie that you have picked that takes place in New Orleans, and both have prominent alligator characters.
Exactly, yes. Louis from Princess and the Frog, and now this one, King Gator.
Who also sings and enjoys music.
Yes, he does. His song is awesome. Let's make music together. Let's make sweet harmony. I love that song, and I love the fact that when he's underwater, he's bubbling.
Yes.
It's not clean. No. It's like, let's make music together. Like, I loved that. That shit was so awesome.
It was so perfect, and it just lends to the realism of watching this animated film. And I had such a great time. It was so lovely to revisit it. Brought back a lot of memories, just like The Land Before Time. And it does have a really wonderful message about not being selfish.
Yes, it does.
Anne-Marie is just such an angel, and I can't wait to hear more about the behind-the-scenes trivia of this movie.
Oh, yeah. I do want to say that Ken Page was the voice of King Gator. He unfortunately passed away last year at the age of 70.
Aw.
He was in Dreamgirls. He played Oogie Boogie in The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, he had a great voice.
He really did, yeah.
That song from Oogie Boogie is so incredible in
Oh,
The Night Before.
yeah.
How have we not done The Nightmare Before Christmas? Is it just because everybody always
I don't
talks
know.
about it still?
I
It's
think
not that
it's
underrated?
one of those, it's certainly not a forgotten movie, that's
No.
for sure. I try to watch it every year around October. I used to go see it in 3D at the El Capitan every October, and I did that for like 6 years in a row, and it was always awesome. I never saw it as a kid, and I started watching it when I was in my early 20s. I'm a big fan of it now and have been for a while.
I saw the Austin Philharmonic perform the score along with the movie on one Halloween
nice.
with one of my best friends, Tim. It was very, very fun.
That's killer.
I love watching movies with a real life symphony.
Oh, yeah. It is a lot of fun. I did that with 2001 Space Odyssey and E.T. I think I did it with another one, but I took Amy to both of those. It was at the Hollywood Bowl, which was
Yes.
really awesome.
Hollywood Bowl is one of the best places ever to watch a symphony.
Best frickin' places ever for any concert, really. So a little bit of the behind the scenes for this movie. I don't actually have a whole lot, and I've already dropped a good portion of my behind the scenes on this. There's one that's kind of fun that maybe you noticed, but when Charlie goes to heaven, there is a hidden Mickey watch in heaven.
Oh, nice.
As a little bit of a nod to his previous Disney worlds.
I had a Mickey watch when I was growing up, actually.
Oh, I did too. Yeah, I might still have it somewhere at the moment, but I currently have a Goofy watch, which I really am a big fan of.
Yes.
Speaking of Steven Spielberg, he was going to be an EP on this movie, but he and Don Bluth ran into a lot of creative differences in the production of this movie. So Steven Spielberg ended up backing out, which is fine. It's not the end of the world because they still did work together for An American Tail and Your Picture.
Well, and that's the thing. So The Land Before Time was produced well before this movie. In fact, a year and a half
Oh, okay.
before. And so them working together on The Land Before Time and butting heads and Don Bluth not being super happy with the final cut, even though it did make him a lot of money, it makes sense that they parted ways. And that's the reason why All Dogs Go to Heaven is as dark as it is, because
Yes.
Steven wasn't there to ask
Right.
for edits or insist on it.
Yeah. I can only imagine what kind of movie this would be if Spielberg was still involved.
It probably
There
would
is-
have made more money, though.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the box office in just a few minutes.
Okay.
But other than Steven Spielberg being involved and no longer being involved, I did want to talk about the kind of dog Charlie is. He's very clearly a German Shepherd of some kind. He's got German Shepherd in him, and he's also a bit of a Border Collie as well. So he's a blend of those two different species of dog.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. He seemed like he was full German Shepherd, so that's good to know.
I thought he was too, yeah. This movie also has some of the most humanistic expressions on the animals' faces
Do
that
you
were
mean
produced at the time.
anthropomorphic?
I do mean anthropomorphic. Yes, indeed. Your favorite word, dropping it again.
Oh
But
my
it's
gosh,
true,
it's
like, you-
taking over David Bowie on the podcast.
Almost, yeah, it absolutely has. But every character has so many facial expressions, including Killer and Carface and King Gator and Itchy and Charlie. It's just really impressive that they brought all that out so well. And when I was watching The Land Before Time, even the dinosaur, like Littlefoot and Sarah and Ducky and Petrie, they all just have so many facial expressions. And when I was watching it this time around, there was a weird feeling that I was getting that I was like, man, I remember sitting in my room watching Land Before Time and All Dogs Go to Heaven, trying to make the faces that they were making. And it's like Ducky would always have this, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but like she would like stretch her neck out and then like her lower lip would go up against her upper lip and just the eyes and even like Anne-Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven. When I read the Snow White thing, now I can't help but see Snow White in Anne-Marie, but her eyes and her nose and her lips and the way that she gets sad and it's just so humanistic. And even when Charlie starts to realize what a bit of a dick he has been to Anne-Marie, and even when he kisses her, the whole like blah, blah, like the I always remember that as a kid and just laughing at it. Now I'm watching it, I'm like, this guy, he's one of those human type people that like doesn't want to show affection, yet he can't help but start to get this warm place in his heart for this little girl.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because when I was watching The Land Before Time, there was a moment about 20 minutes into the movie where Littlefoot is now kind of this adolescent child, right?
Yes.
And I'm looking at him going, how the hell did they draw him where he looks older now?
Right.
Because when he's born, he's this cute little baby with all these soft lines, and then they actually draw him where he looks different.
Yeah.
Now that he's older. It was so wild. And same with Ducky, having her be very obviously a girl. And it was more than just putting eyelashes on her, right? And the talent of animators to be able to do that frame by frame. This is why we love traditional animation so much, because they are just so monumentally talented to be able to bring these animals to life. And it was so nice. And every time you say Itchy for All Dogs Go to Heaven, I just am ready for you to say Scratchy right afterwards.
Itchy, scratchy.
Well, because Itchy and Scratchy are the cartoon characters in The Simpsons.
Oh,
I
don't.
Yeah, I know you haven't seen The Simpsons, but it's the #1 cartoon that Bart and Lisa always watch.
Oh, the rat and something else.
Yeah, the
right?
rat and the cat. And
okay.
It's Itchy and Scratchy.
Oh, right.
And there's an Itchy and Scratchy land and all this stuff, and there's tons of merchandise, and Bart loves it so much. And so that's what I remember. And so whenever you say Itchy, that's the first thing I think of. It's
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, I guess so many TV shows have that kind of thing. Like South Park has Terrence and Phillip.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
There's a couple other animated shows that have something similar to that. So yeah, that's
Pinky and the
Brain.
Brain.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, Itchy. What's that?
Pinky and the Brain.
Oh yeah, Pinky and the Brain. The Animaniacs. Wow, what a show. Now, one cool thing about, well, you know what? Let's just get this out of the way, because I know you and I have both been dreading talking about
Avoiding
this.
it.
Yeah, as much as we can. But I don't know if I'm touched that you were waiting for me to talk about it in my pick of the movie. But I guess it makes sense because this was her last movie. Judith Barcy, who voices Anne Marie in this and Ducky in your picture, was very unfortunately murdered by her father a year and a half before All Dogs Go to Heaven could get released. And she was murdered, and her mother by her father. And from what I've read was that her father, beyond his mental illness, had nothing but envy and jealousy over the fact that how successful Judith Barcy was becoming as a young voice actress. And there's a scene in this movie that, oh man, I didn't think it was going to happen to me, but it is going to happen. There's a scene in this movie where Charlie and Anne-Marie have a really heartwarming scene, and it was the last scene that Judith Barcy actually voiced, and Burt Reynolds had a really hard time recording it because she had already passed away at the time. And if you know what happened, we just told you what happened, but if you had known that beforehand, and it's just tough. It's really tough because she was 10 years old, yeah, just on her way to stardom, and like you said, she was a potential for Lex in Jurassic Park, which would have come out 4 years after this movie, All Dogs Go to Heaven, and she was taken away way too soon. And this movie has a song towards the end that is actually dedicated to Judith Barcy and her talent, and the fact that she was completely missed by every single person. And Burt Reynolds had a real hard time with accepting what had happened to her. And when I read about it, I had a really hard time accepting it too, and I think I still do, because how dare you do something like that?
I think that is the only
child
statement
of all,
you can make.
Yeah, it's just so unacceptable. That is that's what Vee and I wanted to bring up. Of course, it was a piece of history, especially with these two movies, being that Judith Barcy was not just the shining moment of these movies, but she really brought childhood to life in animation. She was very special, and it really is heartbreaking what happened.
Thank you for sharing that. It was too difficult for me too, so thank you for taking that on. And the only thing I can add is her headstone includes her famous line from The Land Before Time, "Yep, yep, yep."
See, that's... Even if she had made it to 100 years old, I would hope that would be on her tombstone.
So, celebrating Judith Barcy in this episode and remembering her as well.
Absolutely. So one final thing I want to talk about before I jump into the budget and the release date of this movie. Well, two things, actually. Walter Matthau and Leslie Nielsen were in consideration to play Charlie. I think Walter Matthau would have been a little bit better than Leslie Nielsen.
I think Leslie Nielsen being Charlie and Walter Matthau being the voice of Reason with Itchy would have been really good.
That would have been pretty cool. That would have been sweet. That would have been a lot of fun. And one thing, V, that will make your heart bleed in happiness, and I imagine everybody else's,
I need to pick me up.
because we are all bleeding heart animal freaks on this episode, and in general. V having 15 cats in their house at the moment. Gary Goldman.
I'm fostering. I'm not
yes,
crazy.
I know you are. I know. No, you're not. You're not the crazy cat lady yet. Anyway, Gary Goldman, during the production of this movie, rescued a German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd's name was Bert.
Oh, love it. Absolutely
Yes.
love it. I almost fostered a puppy with a broken leg the other day.
Oh.
But it actually went to another foster. Yes.
I would have called the dog Limpy.
Oh, no. Call it something. You always call it the opposite.
No, of
like
course.
tiny
Yeah,
and everything.
absolutely.
So you have to call him like Usain Bolt or something. Or just Bolt.
Bolt. Yeah. All right. I could be into that for sure. Now, All Dogs Go to Heaven came out in theaters on November 17th of 1989. The budget was $13.8 million.
Okay, so just a little bit more than Land Before Time. But unfortunately, isn't that right around the time The Little Mermaid was released?
It was, yeah. Little Mermaid came out in 1989, as did Who Framed Roger Rabbit and several other very prominent movies.
Mm-hmm.
But on a $13.8 million budget, the domestic and worldwide box office was $27.1 million for All Dogs Go to Heaven. So it was successful. It has certainly had far more success on VHS and now DVD. And like V said, it is currently streaming on Peacock. If you have never seen this movie, please give it a watch. It is certainly worth your time. It's an hour and 25, so it's about 13 minutes longer than V's pick this week. But it is a treasure trove of animation and just an absolute classic of my childhood and I believe just about anybody that's ever seen it. So that is All Dogs Go to Heaven, and another wrap on Don Bluth and Gary Goldman's absolute brilliance in the animation world.
Yes, and excited to continue with that trend with future picks, including An American Tail, and there are a couple other ones. Thumbelina comes to mind.
Oh.
We definitely have more we can choose from, and I'm really excited to continue diving into his catalog because not only are they all amazing, but I do think many of them are underrated or forgotten.
Absolutely. Completely agree. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Pardon my little bit of emotional breakdown there. It doesn't happen often here at Movies You Miss, but I think it has happened once or twice before.
Completely reasonable.
Yeah, it's just sad stuff. But thank you guys for joining us here. What a great episode. I had a complete blast talking about these movies.
I had a lot more fun and am a lot less depressed than I thought I would be at the end of this episode, so thank you.
Absolutely. And like you said, when I watched Land Before Time this time around, it was sad when Littlefoot's mom dies and the whole shadow thing, but it really wasn't as a traumatic experience as I remember it being as a kid.
I think
that's...
Just because when we watched it, it was one of the first times that death was truly depicted in a movie we had seen.
Right, yeah. Especially in the animation world.
Especially in the animation world, yes.
So, like I said, my pick is on Peacock. You mentioned Land Before Time is not streaming on anything, but you can rent it. And I'm curious, V, I imagine you have, but have you, or would you, watch The Land Before Time with your grandmother?
I'm sure I did, with at least one, if not both of them, actually.
Yeah.
And man, I just remember my whole family watching this movie on our TV on a VHS tape, and I still love it to this day. And it just brings up such a wonderful mix of strong emotions. It's nice to feel strongly about things like that and have those wonderful bittersweet memories come up. And I'm just so happy for this episode and that you and I give each other space to discuss how these movies make us feel. And thank you so much for suggesting we do this episode.
Oh, yeah.
And John, would you watch All Dogs... Well, it's messed up enough. Would you watch All Dogs Go to Heaven with your grandma?
I know I did several times growing up. So, yeah, Grandma and I would watch All Dogs Go to Heaven. Seldom, but we did.
And I just want to bring up that animation and children's movies and movies with messages are still so important because, like What's Yours Is Mine, the sharing song and All Dogs Go to Heaven, and putting feelings and thoughts to animals All those reasons are why we learned empathy, kindness to animals, kindness to others, and with defunding Sesame Street and public access TV, those messages to children are so important today too. And so,
oh yeah,
that's another reason why we love bringing up and why we think it's important to bring up movies like this and movies from our childhood that have good messages that we want to share with our nieces and nephews, because it is really important, and that's why we care so much about this podcast.
Fully agree. All right, let's get into next week's picks before we sign off here on episode 198. V, what direction are we going next week?
Well, it's par for the course for us next week because we are going in a completely different direction.
Yeah, we are.
John suggested his movie and put it on his list months and months ago, and I'd been thinking of what exactly I could pair with it, and it turns out we landed on a topic of survival. And with that, I actually picked a movie that stars an actor who I love, Anthony Hopkins. Discussed him in depth when I picked The Silence of the Lambs a couple years ago. And I picked, damn it, another movie from 1997. It's like when you had your trend of picking movies from 2006, like the first 18 months of our podcast. So
I did for a long time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is a movie from 1997. Not only does it star Anthony Hopkins, but it also stars Alec Baldwin. It is a survival thriller called The Edge.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not streaming anywhere, but you can rent it from most streaming services for $3.99. And I'm really excited for John to watch this movie because I don't think he has before.
I have never seen it, but I remember the trailer when it came out in theaters. I think I saw the trailer before The Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yeah, the trailer's pretty badass.
Yeah, I was very excited to see it then, and I just never got around to it, so I'm very excited to watch it this time.
Awesome. And so what survival movie did you pick that sparked this episode?
I picked a movie from 2011, directed by Joe Carnahan, who I've done twice prior on this podcast, starring Liam Neeson and Dermot Mulroney and Joe Anderson. This is the survival epic The Grey.
A movie I have never seen.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people that have. I saw it in theaters, absolutely loved it. I think I've seen it since 2011 about 10 different times, and I can't wait to revisit it. It is currently streaming on Amazon Prime. I will watch my Blu-ray copy, and that is coming up next week. Survival of the Fittest, everybody.
Hey, that's the title, I think.
Perfect.
Great idea.
Sweet. Well, looking forward to it. Please do rate, review, subscribe, follow us on all social media. We'll see you guys next week. But before we close out here at Movies You Miss Podcast, film is a form of art. And in art, all opinions are valid, except if you think.
You can't have a good time discussing childhood trauma.
I agree. And that's one reason why I still want to read Paul Scheer's book, Joyful Recollections of Trauma.
Nice.
Sweet. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Cheers, everybody.
Bye-bye.